Hello, so the second presentation is Willy Wonka. His date of birth is 7/14/2002, so he's 17 years old. Referral source is DCF, and the session notes would be from August 2019 to, it was like till like last month, so like February 2020, because he transitioned to the Harrington Way program. So the reason for referral is he's ready for a step-down program at the Stetson School Group Home in Worcester, Massachusetts, called Harrington Way. The discharge goals and primary lifelong connections have been planned upon the situation of discharge at Worcester, Massachusetts, Harrington Way. Willie also remains with reunification with his parents eventually, but right now it's leading to independent living, so he can live and function on a daily basis on his own without having prompts from other people. Most currently, typical living circumstances rest in the STAR program from before. Prior to the move, Kate Carr and Benjamin Carr are the adopted parents of Willy Wonka. So Kate's level of communication consists of constant visits for her adoptive son, so she always loves to come here. And on the other hand, Benjamin, the adoptive father, he's mostly phone calls, but he's still there. So his biological family, the biological mother of Diane Wilson, was deceased from a drug overdose. Biological parents of the father was assaulting the mother during pregnancy with Willie. So all of Willie's siblings have struggled with substance abuse issues. Willie has 3 siblings, 2 being full biological ones and 1 being half. The 2 biological siblings, Kylie, a 19-year-old female, and Deb, an 18-year-old female. Deb was recently adopted, and then Bill, she just turned 18, so she now is her own guardian technically, but she resides in an adopted family. So then Bill is his half brother, who has an IQ of 80 and is 20 years old. Willie's strengths. Willie is a very resilient young man who describes himself as athletic, social, and outgoing. Willie likes to watch television, play video games, and sports like basketball and tennis. Willie's lifelong goals are to graduate high school and become the first of his biological siblings to attend college, particularly for business. So that's an awesome goal. He wants to plan for the future of himself and kind of step back and look about where his family's at and want to kind of use that as a push to keep him going. So Willie has a strong support group from his adopted parents. Willie's adopted parents present as loving and concerned for the safety and well-being all over for himself. So involvement of outside sources. In 2002, a 51A was enacted for protective concerns. After 2007, numerous 51As were filed against both biological parents. Willie attended foster care in psychiatric hospital, outpatient services, and STAR program. Court involvement. Willie's adopted mother, Kate, reported that he decided to file a child requiring assistance, or CRA, petition in court as an incident in which the family's dog had a seizure and almost died due to the ingestion of marijuana that Willie had in the home. From this incident in May 2019, Willie was court ordered to leave the home, leading to prior placement at RFK Johnson Hall. So that's I think in Boston. There wasn't many paperwork about where exactly that was. So Willie was involved in Worcester juvenile court system due to the CRA, but no history of legal involvement due to delinquency charges. So communication and language. Willie's primary language is spoken in the home, and outside the home is English. And psychological testing completed in 2009 of January, Willie was diagnosed with expressive language disorder due to difficulty converting his thoughts, feelings into adequate language. Parents and guardian understanding. So the relationship with Willie's family has decreased and has become more defiant due to his use of marijuana, as well as increased depression. Miss Carr expressed this is her expressing that she developed anger and resentment towards Willie due to the increasing defiant and disrespectful behaviors. Willie, along with the adopted parents, feel that they are not ready for Willie to move back home, and have current preference not to be worked towards reunification. So it's like at the time, like they go on and off, like they don't want to be reunified, but they want him to like learn how to develop basically like how to live on his own. That's like the main goal, because he is going to be turning 18, and his parents can't really help him for like living on daily functioning. He needs to like learn how to do that by himself. Developmental history, so no incidents of no complications. The biological mother was struck by the biological father in the abdomen while she was pregnant. Developmental milestones were met on time. Willie was walking and talking at the age of 10 months, but struggled at nighttime with his enuresis until early adolescence and intermittently thereafter. In 2002, DCF was involved with a biological family in March. At the age of 4, Willie was removed from the biological family and placed into foster care. So school and like childhood kind of experiences from 2007 to currently, Willie remained in the same adoptive home. Willie would leave the home and his adopted parents without permission and hang out with a negative peer group. Willie is very impulsive with oppositional and explosive temper, for example, punching walls, physical and verbal assaults against parents, including posturing, staring intensely, and describing it as like he's like very disconnected, kind of like the 1,000-mile stare. Like he'll do that like there's like nothing up there. He just kind of like will stare. Willie attended Paxton Center School, where he reported that he had good grades throughout the beginning of the move, and he had lots of like good positive friends. So in 7th grade, Miss Carr reported that her adopted son was kicked off the bus due to making a kindergarten girl feel uncomfortable with constant teasing with minimal understanding of like what the boundary was. He couldn't understand like why she was like so upset and stuff. So Willie engages in property destruction in 2009, where he broke items in the family yard with a metal bat. In 11th grade, he struggled a lot in school, where he was kicked off the tennis team by skipping practice due to his coach seeing him walk down the street with his friends. So the negative peer group. So there is a lot of substance abuse significance in this case. So the biological mother has had a history of substance abuse and cocaine, as well as a marijuana usage. There's no indication if the biological mother was using substances while she was pregnant. A brief attempt of reunification was tried with the mother in 2008 at her substance abuse treatment facility. So Willie was removed again after 5 days of going to that program when his mother got into a physical altercation with another resident in front of her children, and was substantially, I can read today, but she was discharged from the program, and then she became homeless from that incident. So Willie was frequently found hanging out with his friends at his house and smoking marijuana. So like again, the negative peer group. Willie was suspended for 5 days because he brought THC oil and a vape pen, as well as getting into physical fights in May 2009. Willie stole money from his parents to buy alcohol, and in general stealing money just to get certain things. So at home he was keeping bottles of wine in his room, so he was like storing them like so he couldn't get caught. Mental status exam. So Willie is a 17-year-old African American male who presents at his age, so he seems very kind of mature at some points when talking to him. So during the assessment period, Willie presents very neat and well groomed. His behavior is appropriate. He has loud speech. Willie's mood is labeled very quickly shift. If you did not want an answer that was given, he doesn't really like engage as much. Like when you ask like, do you have any thoughts about harming yourself or others, he just kind of is like, no. Like he doesn't seem very interactive. He's very quiet at some points. His stream of thought content was unremarkable. It was like all over the place. His orientation to person, place, and time was there. Willie was able to concentrate on a given task one time at a time. He also would ask like numerous questions just over and over again, just to like have like certain responses to like remind himself. So yeah, his mental status. So his behaviors that are like concerning is that Willie has been receiving treatment for these behaviors. Willie's triggers are highly reactive, so like anything that's like loud noises, yelling, struggling to stay still, and occupying time are a lot of his triggers. Helpful hints to include with Willie has a history of sneaking out of the home, targeting others' weak spots, staring at them intimidatingly, like sense of control. He has had sexualized comments in other programs and in school and in the home, but just like comments. So for social, Willie's community connections have been more negative in nature and supportive in his use of marijuana. Willie would benefit from support in adjusting to any changes in his community and getting involved in positive structures and pro-social connections. So culture, Willie identifies confidently as an African American male as well as English as being his predominant English spoken language in the home and outside the home. So Willie and his siblings, Willie's siblings has actually a hard time identifying themselves racially and ethnically, culturally, because they've been like kind of in and out of different placements, homes where different families have been from different backgrounds, so they struggle like individually how to find themselves and culturally. So Willie doesn't have really any religious backgrounds or any spiritual beliefs at this time. Some barriers, he has a learning disability and attention hyperactive disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which can impair him way to sustain focus and attention. These behavior issues have caused like suspension in 2019, where he was pushing and bullying people. He has a history of bullying since elementary school and involved in fights, brought marijuana to school, a vape pen, all of his like behavioral issues that has caused him to be suspended. So psychiatric history, Willie has been into 2 inpatient substance abuse placements at MIR program from May and 2018 and May 2019. Also participated in outpatient services for substance abuse youth group at UInc Arbor Partial Hospitalization Program for a week in March 2018. Willie was actively engaged in individual treatment, reporting very well positive reports from his therapist. But on the other hand, there one time was an incident on his last therapy session which he became very disrespectful and was asked to leave. And that was like his last time that he went to like any outpatient therapy facilities. He just kind of like refuses after it. He kind of has he likes the attention one-on-one, but he also doesn't like the feeling of like there's something wrong with me. Like we're trying to help you become more functioning in daily life and with the community and independently. So his past medications were Remeron, Risperdal, Prozac. His current medications are melatonin, desmopressin, tripidol. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce them. So his diagnostic history was cannabis use disorder, ADHD, combined conduct disorder, adolescent onset, mild, major depressive disorder, recurrent episode, moderate with anxious distress. So 314.01 F90.2 attention deficit hyperactivity disorder combined type. So this is given to Willie his presentation is very impulsive, hyperactive, and inattentive that can affect his daily social and academic functioning. 312 F91.2 conduct disorder, adolescent onset, mild. The individual shows no symptoms of characteristics of conduct disorder prior to the age of 10. So like this is like after 10 years old. So his conduct problems cause relatively minor harm to others by lying, staying out after dark without permission, and rule-breaking circumstances. 296.32 F33.1 is major depressive disorder, recurrent episode, moderate with agent distress. So Willie basically has like a diminished interest or pleasure in overall activities most days, and loss of interest and lowering the ability to think and concentrate. So with anxious distress, a feeling unusual restlessness, tense, and difficulty concentrating due to his worry. So before and like kind of after has to do with a lot of like the cannabis use disorder. He used to play basketball and do things for himself, and he just kind of just lays around and kind of sulks in his depression and waiting for like the next like high to then do all the things that he used to do. So he's like kind of dependent on that. So then the cannabis use disorder in early remission is 305.20. It's F12.10. Reoccurring cannabis use results in complication of major roles such as in occupation, education, and daily life. The importance of social, occupational, and recreational activities are given up or reduced from the use of cannabis. So the recommended treatment that I would use is DBT and the use of psychoeducation to use in the therapy process to help the individual gain insight of just to life in general, as well as promote mindfulness. So this type of therapy would be beneficial for both individually as well as in a group setting. So like psychoeducational can help use Willie to acknowledge his behaviors, thoughts, and feelings towards himself and others, and learning in healthy sexuality as well as behaviors for himself to control that can be beneficial. So we can like learn kind of what cannabis use disorder is, like his triggers, as well as like looking at the mindfulness of taking a step back and looking at his well-being. So substance abuse treatment therapy would be good in this situation to incorporate in Willie's treatment to educate not only individual like himself but like his family as well. Like that'd be nice to have them brought in. It also provides relapse prevention planning as well as promoting new coping skills to stressful life events. Family therapy, the engagement of family therapy will benefit not only to the adoptive parents but each individual, like if his adoptive siblings wanted to come in, and each individual to repair their relationships and rebuild more positive connections. Because he is getting older, being 18, so it's like use this time to treat him like an adult and to use this to be more upbringing and the promoting of becoming an adult, not like look how far you haven't done this stuff to become where you're supposed to be in life. Like this is the building block before you can be that adult you want to be, so you can function on your own. So I thought that would be helpful. So yeah, that is my case presentation number 2. Thank you.